gentlemen, great to have you both on. If you've listened to any of the past podcasts, we talk a lot about the greater good and what SmartWAVE and a lot of folks in this technology space do to try to drive the greater good with broadband and access. And I think this, Rick, your story, I've just watched a little bit of it on YouTube. It's just truly amazing. So why don't we just start there? I'd like to understand kind of what was the inspiration or the kind of the origin of why Champions Place was founded.
So Nancy and I have three kids, and two of them have a very rare disability. It's a form of muscular dystrophy. So it represents itself physically and in some other ways. And so our first child, Katie, lived to about age 4, and unfortunately she's died, but we'll see her again. And then our third child, Matt, has the same thing. So I tell you that in that Nancy and I have been married 41 years, 37 years of it, we've had a physically disabled child in our household. So you guys probably coach your kids' teams, right? So, or you're involved in their sports. So we did the same thing. And it was buddy baseball. We did wheelchair sports. And as our kids aged out of high school, you've probably heard this many times in the disability community, everything stopped. And so you have a child that's been in high school, all of a sudden they're not going to school, all of a sudden the programs associated with high school have all stopped, and they're in your home, and you can see isolation begin, depression. So when Matt grew up, he was in wheelchair sports. So we got this idea that maybe we're supposed to continue that. So we brought 6 kids and their parents to our living room and said, hey, I think we're supposed to start this wheelchair sports ministry. And at the time it was out of our church, but we're a nonprofit today. And they said, great. I said, what do you want to call yourselves? They said, the Titans. I said, great. We're still the Titans. I wish they had called themselves the Champions, because it'd make a lot more sense. But that's grown from 6 to over 100 in 100 young adults and families throughout the Atlanta area: cerebral palsy, muscular dystrophy, spina bifida, and quite frankly, any other flavor of physical disability that walks into the gym. And what we say is we're in the hope business. We provide community so they can build friendships. And so on a typical Saturday afternoon, a new Titan will walk in, and I'll throw him a shirt and say, welcome to the Titans. You've got 100 new friends. And for a kid that's isolated at home, that's quite meaningful.
That's huge.
So we provide community and the ability to make friendships. The parents talk in the bleachers and talk about government benefits. So it grew. So I know this is a long answer. So we did that in 2009, and around 2000, during that time, I've had meetings at my house, 2006, 2008. And I'm looking at my dining room because that's where it was. And we had dads in one room saying, what are we going to do? Our kids are getting older. They're going to leave high school. They don't want to live with us. Let's start looking around. So we started looking around Atlanta. Couldn't find anything. Again, I'm going to say we are rifle shot. We serve those with physical disabilities. And if you were to take a pie of the disability population, we would be kind of that piece of this pie, right? We're small. And because of that, we kind of get lost. It's like there's probably 700, 800,000 young adults with with physical disabilities in the country. So,
and what was the option for parents? If there's not a place like Champions Place, what kind of typically what are the struggles? You definitely lived in it, right?
So I can only think of 3, Al, and one of them is they live at home with their parents, and that's predominantly the kids that we serve. I call them kids. They're number 30 adults.
Yeah,
I'm old. I went on Medicare this year, so I can say that. So living with the parents, and that's limited, right? It's limiting because parents have to work. Many times, these are single parents because it's tough raising a kid, and that always doesn't work out. A lot of divorces. I've read articles about 2 young ladies in Minnesota living in a nursing home because That's where they could physically handle them.
Mhm.
And the third is, and it's what we found, is that while there are homes in the Atlanta area and other places, typically they're geared for those with intellectual disabilities. So you'll find 3 cognitively challenged individuals, 1 physical, that it's very hard for them to get around the house. Their interests are different. They're as different to one another as we are to each of them. So those are those 3 options. None of them are very good, really.
Well, that's kind of the big difference, right? In this disability is these young adults. I mean, they've got like Georgia Tech grad, degrees and so forth, right? I mean, they're extremely. You have some extremely brilliant individuals that are in the home. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So we have the gamut. We have, just as you said, we have somebody that I think went through a 5-year program and 3.5 at Georgia Tech, right? Computer science. We have teachers. We have some residents that actually teach, go out and teach full-day jobs. We have some that their physical disability limits them, and their secondary, maybe, I wouldn't call them cognitive, but developmental issues. So our son, he works at Starbucks. He's ambassador. So you walk in, he says hi. He does it via computer and offers you pre-COVID a sample. We're almost. He greets at Marshall's. We have another young man that works at the Affleck Cancer Center, and in his wheelchair, he takes blood samples, other samples from the doctor's office down to the lab and back up, and they can measure the improvement and turnaround. We have some that work in daycare. Somebody works at Trader Joe's. We got Corey, who lives at the Champions Place. He's got his own DJ business. If you need a DJ, I got him. And he works at Goodwill, and he proudly came in last week and said, "Hey, I'm employee of the month." Nice. So yes, Al, they're with it. They're funny. They'll bust your chops.